Hi. Okay, Skellig. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. Last time around, chapters 21 and 22, I asked you at what time of night do Michael and Mina plan to get Skellig out of the garage? Well, Michael suggests dawn. Can you explain how Michael and Mina persuade Skellig to come with them? They contradict him whenever he says that he can't. So, for example, Mina says, when Skellig says babies, I'm as weak as a baby, Mina says, babies aren't weak, repeating, you have to come. And Mina goes in for a bit of pleading when she says, please. Then a vocabulary question. What other word or phrase could be used instead of trembled? There's shake, tremor, quiver, waver, and quake. These are always the questions where I miss your company because, like Zara sent in some examples of what she would include, it's great to have more ideas. Okay, this time around, we're going to look at chapter 23, 24, and the Viper's questions are a bit different. Can you use all your reading skills, so particularly inference, prediction, and summarising, and actually retrieval as well, to give Mina and Michael's very different ideas about school? So you'll find this as a discussion in chapter 23. Okay, let's get reading. I've got to turn my little camera around because there's not such natural light now because I've let this tick on into the evening. Chapter 23. Mrs. Dando called that morning just after breakfast. She came on her bike on her way to school. She said my mates were looking forward to getting me back again. They say you're the best tackler in school, she said. Well, Dad showed her... What's going to work better? Dad showed her all the work we'd done on the house. We showed her the wilderness. She said everything would be as bright and new for the baby. Stumbling over the words. It's because I'm turned around, that's why. Is that focused? It's gone out of focus now. Okay, let's just keep going. Dad showed her all the work we'd done on the house. We showed her the wilderness. She said everything would be bright and new for when the baby came home. She took her bag off her back. She took out a little cuddly bear for Dad to give to the baby. And there's this for you, she laughed. Sorry. There was a folder of homework from Rasputin and Monkey, worksheets and gaps to fill in and questions to answer. There was a note from Miss Clark's. No real homework. Write a story. Get well soon. There were sheets of maths problems and a book called Julius and the Wilderness with a red sticker on the back. Dad laughed as we watched her cycle away. No rest for the wicked, eh, son? He said. I'll do the decorating. You get on with your homework. I got a biro and took the work along the street to Mina's front garden. She was sitting with her mum on the blanket underneath a tree. Her mum was reading. Mina was scribbling fast in a black book. She grinned and beckoned me over the wall when she saw me standing there. Mina looked at the worksheets. It is thought that man is D blank from the apes. This is the theory of E blank. This theory was developed by Charles D blank. There was sentence after sentence like it. Mina read the sentences out loud. She said blank, blank, blank in a sing-song voice when she came to the dashes. She stopped after the first 3 sentences and just looked at me. Is this really the kind of thing you'll do all day? She said. Mina, said her mum. Mina giggled. She flicked through the book. It was about a boy who tells magic tales that turn out to be true. Yeah, looks good, she said. But what's the red sticker for? It's for confident readers, I said. It's to do with reading age. And what if other readers want to read it? Mina, said her mum. And where would William Blake fit in, said Mina. Tiger, tiger, burning bright, in the forests of the night. So year 5, you might remember that from the beginning of year 5 when we did a little unit on poetry and looked at that very poem. Is that for the best readers or the worst readers? Does that need a good reading age? I stared back at her. I didn't know what to say. I wanted to get back over the wall and go home again. And if it was for the worst readers, would the best readers not bother with it because it would be too stupid for them, she said. Mina, said her mum. She was smiling gently at me. Take no notice, she said. She's a madam sometimes. Well, said Mina. She went back to scribbling in the black book again. She looked up at me. Go on then, she said. Do your homework like a good schoolboy. Her mum smiled again. I'll get on inside, she said. You tell her to shut up if she starts getting at you again, okay? Okay, I said. After she'd gone, we said nothing for ages. I pretended to read Julius and the Wilderness, but it was like the words were dead and meaningless. What are you writing? I said at last. My diary. About me and you and Skellig, she said. She didn't look up. What if nobody reads it? What if somebody reads it? I said. Why would they read it? They know it's mine and it's private. She scribbled again. I thought about our diaries at school. We filled them in every week. Every so often Miss Clarks checked that they were neat and the punctuation was right and the spellings were right. She gave us marks for them, just like we got marks for attendance and punctuality and attitude and everything else we did. I said nothing about this to Mina. I went on pretending to read the book. I felt tears in my eyes. That made me think about the baby, and doing that just made the tears worse. I'm sorry, said Mina. I really am. One of the things we hate about schools is the sarcasm that's in them, and I'm being sarcastic. She squeezed my hand. It's so exciting, she whispered. You, me and Skellig. We'll have to go to him. He'll be waiting for us. What shall we take for him? Chapter 24. What is this place? I asked her as she opened the gate and we stepped into the long back garden. We ducked down and hurried to the danger door. Left it. It was my grandfather's, she said. He died last year. He left it to me in his will. It'll be mine when I'm 18. She turned the key in the lock. We're having it repaired soon. Then we'll rent it out. We stepped inside, carrying our parcels. Whisper slipped in at our heels. Don't worry, though, she whispered. There's weeks before the builders come. I switched my torch on. We went into the room where we'd left him. He wasn't there. The room was silent and empty, as if he'd never been there at all. Then we saw Mina's cardigan behind the door, the dead blue bottles on the floorboards, and heard Whisper mewing from the stairs. We went into the hallway, saw the shape of Skellig lying halfway up the first flight. Knackered, he squeaked as we crouched beside him. Sick to death. Aspirin. I fiddled in his pocket, took out two of the tablets out, popped them in his mouth. You moved, I said. All on your own, you moved. He winced with pain. You want to go higher, said Mina. Yes, somewhere higher, he whispered. We left our parcels there, lifted him together and carried him up to the first landing. He groaned and twisted in agony. Put me down, he squeaked. We took him into the bedroom with high white ceilings and pale wallpapered walls. We rested him against the wall. Thin beams of light pierced the cracks in the boards, on the windows, and shone onto his pale, dry face. I hurried back down for the parcels. We unrolled the blankets we had brought. We laid them out with a pillow on the floor. We put down a little plastic dish for his aspirins and cod liver oil. I put an opened bottle of beer beside it. There was a cheese sandwich and half a bar of chocolate. All for you, Mina whispered. Let us help you, I said. He shook his head. He turned over, onto all fours, started to crawl the short distance towards the blanket. We saw his tears dropping through the beams of light, splashing onto the floor. He knelt by the blankets, panting. Mina went to him, knelt facing him. I'll make you more comfortable, she whispered. She unfastened the buttons on his jacket. She began to pull his jacket down over his shoulders. No, he squeaked. Trust me, she whispered. He didn't move. He slid the sleeves down over his arms, took the jacket right off him. We saw that what both of us had dreamed we might see. Beneath his jacket were wings that grew out through rips in his shirt. When they were released, the wings began to unfurl from his shoulder blades. They were twisted and uneven. They were covered in cracked and crooked feathers. They clicked and trembled as they opened. They were wider than his shoulders, higher than his head. Skellig hung his head towards the floor. His tears continued to fall. He whimpered with pain. Mina reached out to him, stroked his brow. She reached further and touched the feathers with her fingertips. "You're beautiful," she whispered. "Let me sleep," squeaked Skellig. "Let me go home." He lay face down and his wings continued to quiver into shape above him. We drew the blankets up beneath him, felt his feathers against the skin on the backs of our hands. Soon Skellig's breathing settled and he slept. Whisper rested. Sorry, battery's running out. Soon Skellig's breathing settled and he slept. Whisper rested against him, purring. We stared at each other. My hand trembled as I reached out towards Skellig's wings. I touched them with my fingertips. I rested my palms on them. I felt the feathers, and beneath them the bones and sinews and muscles that supported them. I felt the crackle of Skellig's breathing. I tiptoed to the shutters and stared out through the narrow chinks. "What are you doing?" she whispered. "Making sure the world's still really there," I said. Okay, next time, chapter 25. That was a little peek at my son's Lego collection. He's been building his police station. Anyhow, okay, just a reminder. Can you compare Michael and Mina's ideas on school? Okay, see you next time.